How can I genuinely add value? There's some amazing speakers at this. Like, I'm small fry compared to some of these amazing people that have spoke today. So I thought, I'm going to go raw and more honest than I've ever gone. So this may be the very last thing I ever do at Vice, and in which case, take care. Thanks very much. Yeah, thank you. So here we go. Let's go for it. You can abuse me on Twitter at Age of Audience. I wanted to show you this bar chart. Basically, it's the number of boring... No, I don't want to show you this bar chart. Basically, the one thing that I think you've all seen is this millennial presentation, right? And I personally, I wake up in the middle of the night having dreams about having to watch it again, right? So basically, I wanted to try and go a little bit deeper than this and try and underline some of the real shit that people don't talk about at dinner parties, just because it's a closed room and no one will ever see this until it's too late anyway. So in the spirit of the second half of this day, please, everyone, take a breath in. This is now a therapy session. I'm going to ask you guys to be clever, because you're infinitely cleverer than I am. And I'm going to throw some stuff out, and I just hope, just say whatever's on the top of your mind. So before we get started, genuinely, have a chat with each other for 2 minutes, 1 minute, about something that you're passionate about. Go around the table and say one thing that you're passionate about in your table. Off you go. What are you guys saying? Okay, that's good. What are you guys saying? Travel. Interesting. That's good. Okay, guys, sorry. Sorry, stop. Okay, right. I just want to take note of the fact that it was difficult to get you guys to stop there. Okay? So we'll come back to this. Just for now, let's just say this. Talking about passion and listening to someone else talking about passion, pretty much, with the exception of my brother talking about one thing that he loves, is what life is, right? That is culture. That is the good times. And with a few bottles of vodka, it can go on all night long, right? So we'll come back to why I've asked you that question. I'm going to ask you one more. Actually, fuck this. Hang on. Can someone on this table just say one thing that someone was into? Right, okay. Cheers, guys. I'm back to London. I'm off to London. Hey, that was your minds that did that, not him. He just likes animals. Could you tell us a little bit about why you love animals?
It wasn't actually me, someone else.
Oh, whoever it was, why do you love animals so much? Yes.
Animals in need, helping animals in need so not suffering.
Right, okay, that's interesting. So you really feel there's something about helping animals in need. No, I get you. Yeah, I'm seeing where you're coming from there. And I asked this question in Japan, and I know we've got some Japanese delegates here today, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I got some really interesting answers. One of them was soldering, which is when you heat up 2 bits of metal and then they suddenly come together. And I was like, that's an interesting one. But the point is, no matter what you're into, there's a way of making sense of it. So even if you had said something really weird, like soldering, once you explained that there was some meditational value in doing it, everyone would go, ah. So let's put point number 1, passion, and then the context or story behind why it matters. Question 2, we're in 2017, yes or no? What is the madness? Bill Hicks said that we're all living in a particular time, and we're just trying to figure out the madness of the time that we live in. What are the madnesses, the mad things of now? Just throw some stuff out. Who said that? Trump. Right. Okay. Yeah. Trump will do, definitely. Anything else? Fake news. Fake news. Selfies. Yeah. Selfies and the stick. The selfie stick. Fuck the selfie stick, man. Okay. So apart from selfies, we're on the right track here. This, my friends, is the definition of a millennial, okay? Someone who grew up with incessant technological change, where they were being messaged on so many apps that they didn't really even remember which ones they were on anymore. And they had to download a meditation app just to stay sane and have a relationship with anyone in their own life, right? I told you it'd be a therapy session. hyper-globalization and the fact that we're now seeing there are some serious winners and some serious losers out of that equation. Add on top of that a new economy, an outsourced, automated economy that basically, this is my excuse for why I didn't do what I was supposed to do in my life, whatever that was. You know, genuinely a new economy where, you know, I could be standing here, you know, there'll be an AI presenting instead of me this time next year, right? Economic crash and the fact that if we remember that, which I'm sure we do, and before we have the next one, no one was ever punished. It's just, you know, just a complete decimation of most of the world's wealth, and then it was just like, oh, yeah, but those institutions are too big to fail. So terrorism and the war on terror coming right to our homelands, basically, and the whole just nonsense around that, and the fact there's so many question marks about that. And then even when you go home, you're actually not screwed, because it's 45% divorce rate. So even the family unit has fallen apart in this few decades more than it's ever done before. So, please stand if none of these things apply to you at all. Okay, so you know where I'm going to go with this. Millennial is a load of bullshit. Okay? Thank you. Since this is my last moment on stage ever at Vice, I might as well go down. James Dean, what was being created, what was a very thin end of a wedge, is now a very, very thick mainstream idea. And that idea has been building for decades. This is Bob Dylan, one of my favorite artists of all time. This whole thing about the idea that young people are different now biologically than they were, it's absolutely not true, right? That idea, that mindset, that millennial mindset is something that I meet 55-year-old millennials every day. If you're a savvy, sophisticated consumer of information, you're a millennial, as far as I'm concerned. So this widens this category, just because if we think about what we mean by millennial, we mean this set of behaviors. We don't mean a demographic, or unless we're just really into targeting and the kind of that side of the world, which, anyway. So but the point is, this is now the mainstream. And, you know, I was asked to talk about content. I honestly believe that the move to branded content is a response to a serious crisis. And Peter Thiel, even though he's an evil human being, is a genius, right? He's an evil genius. And he says that every great business is built on a secret. This is the $4.5 billion secret that's built Vice. It's taken it from a print magazine to a $4.5 billion organization. It's the next slide, right? This is it. This is the secret. There is a crisis of, you already know, trust. Religion that doesn't really have the same power it used to. I don't know if you heard, but mission accomplished, apparently, on this one. That's good news. Great stuff. And then, as we said, this guy is genuinely the president of the free world. So forgive us all for being a little cynical. I mean, to be honest, you'd have to have a hole in your head to not be a cynic. You'd have to be a really nice but dim person, right? And the Oxford English Dictionary word of the year last year, and you said it, fake news, post-truth. So, you know where I'm going with this. Who is being affected most by this millennial mindset, this cynicism, this general disillusionment? Who do you think? Sorry, Volkswagen. Brands. Because we are sitting in rooms trying to design communications as if none of this had happened, right? So we're basically like, yeah, but the 3 Ps and fuck off, right? Honestly, it's not going to work. Because we're trying to ignore 50 years of the most tumultuous, exponential cultural change ever in the history of humanity and pretend it hasn't happened. And we just dig our head a little bit deeper in the sand. It's not going to work. So, you know, new consumers, I think, let's get rid of the word millennials and replace it with new consumers, because of any age group, you know, even my dear mum, who is so lovely and maybe, you know, she's very smart in some ways, but not all of them. So when I put a post up on Facebook, she will message me on my text message me and say, she's Scottish, so thank you, darling. That's how she speaks. And I'll say, what for, mum? She says, the message. and I realize that she thinks I'm privately messaging her in her newsfeed. But anyway, so apart from my mum, basically most people are savvy and sophisticated consumers, right? So let's use the expression new consumer to define this mindset that we're up against, right? Even the Queen, who is 91, I bet is a fairly savvy, sophisticated consumer of information and communications, right? And what we deal in is communications. Like, we can get really excited about the power of this microphone, but it really doesn't matter if I start annoying you like that. And I think what we're doing is we're getting so obsessed with the formats and the ways of reaching, but we've forgot what we do as a primary function, which is communications. And if we do communications and we accept that, we have to accept the environment that we're launching communications into and how drastically difficult it is to cut through that. There it is. So look, just a few stats. 21 million marketing messages by the time you're 21, by the time you're 18. So you've been marketed to, if you're a young person now, you've been marketed to since you were newborn. I mean, your BS detector, as this kid's face, I could look at this kid all day. This kid is going to be the leader of something amazing. He is the man. But he just, my point is, this kid is a millennial. Call him a Gen whatever you want. But the point is, if the mindset thing makes any sense, this cynical young child is who we're marketing to. And the world has made him so. And he's ripe to be cynical and disillusioned. So how do we fight this? To the rescue, don't worry, everyone. There is an answer. And the answer is the boardroom first comms model. Right. Maybe. Let's see what the boardroom first comms model is all about. So basically, the boardroom first comms model says, start with a product. What have we got here? Let's not pick on Samsung, they've had a tough year. What about the Ritz-Carlton? The Ritz-Carlton, right? Sorry, the Ritz-Carlton. So you start with the Ritz-Carlton. You say, the Ritz-Carlton is nice, and it has different functions, and it has different other stuff, and blah, 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 and you obsess about the product again and again and again. Then you make a media decision, and by the way, I'm not giving anything away here when I say that your strategically unbiased media agency who you have to take lessons in order to, can you think of another industry where you have to take a training course to not be screwed over by the person that you're dealing with? In what other world, if you go to see a tailor, you don't have to go for a workshop before to make sure your tailor doesn't screw you over, do you? I mean, right? So then you get media decisions that, by the way, you know this anyway, they've been made for you because they've done deals in advance at bulk, right? And then they strategically advise you, right? And then at the end, right? Sorry. This is really the end for me. And then at the very end, you obsess about something that no one could speak about without the light dimming in their eyes. If they had to speak about it for a whole minute, you'd see them just getting exhausted like the Ritz-Carlton. It's nice, it's got leather chairs, fucking hell. Like the opposite of the passion conversation we had, right? You could bring all the vodka to the table and it'd still be a quiet night, right? Then you make a media decision, so you say, the CEO's son is on Snapchat, so we better buy some of that. And then and then agencies, creative agencies get asked, can you make this thing, basically this turd, right? Can you polish this turd and make it creative? This is the boardroom first comms model. And look at the results. Burger King, sorry if you're here, but you need to see this. To you, oh my God. To you, can you find the hidden chicken nugget? But you can see where they're going because they're like, right, we've got to do a post about the product because that's chicken nuggets, right? And then they're like, we're going to do it on Facebook because that's where the demo is and it's like the demo users and they usually check it in the morning, right, and all this stuff, right? And then to make this thing seem more intelligent, right? But it's an absurdity. It's an affront to intelligence, right? And then at the end, someone who's had to make it creative, it's not their fault, but they've thought, social media, you can't just say something, you've got to kind of ask it and be responding. And so why don't we say like when you find the chicken nugget? And this is the reduced absurdity that our agency, our worlds are in, our whole brand world is in. And then Campari, if you could and add on top of this the neurotic organization, right? Which is that every single one of us starts to become more neurotic all the time. We just do, right? We start to go, you figure out that that my line manager likes this, and then you start to do this stuff, even though it's wrong. You start to follow the codes, not the principles, right? So Look at this, Campari. If you could sum up the last 150 years of Campari in 3 words, what would they be? I mean, who's got the time for this? But someone took the time and they wrote crap social media. And this is why I still believe in human beings. And then finally, Skoda. Right, sorry to pick on you guys. Skoda, and you can imagine the conversation, right? 2 guys who really do want to advance within the company know that if they obsess about product all the time, they'll be rewarded for that. So then they make a media decision, and they end up with this. To you, which side of a Skoda is more important? Front or back? This is real. I mean, whoever made this is on strong acid, basically. Right? And then someone's come in and said, that moment when you realize the whole of the internet is laughing at you, and his comment, just his comment, has got 4,399 likes and 95 replies saying, send me your bank account details, I want to buy you a drink, right? And guaranteed in a media agency somewhere or some C-level board meeting, someone's saying, oh, good, engagement's going up on the page. This is the madness that we're in. I'm not even going to show you this because we're running out of time, but the point about that is that that's at least cheap. This is not even cheap. This is, could you turn it up a bit?
Okay, I can remind you.
When Neil calls, remind me to tell him not to dress like it's 1996.
Sure thing.
Cortana, what are you wearing?
A phone. Like it?
You made me laugh, Cortana.
Thanks. I've been practicing my timing.
I do love the people in this industry. I really do. I don't think there's any industry where you can instantly meet new people, be fascinated by them, and have a really good time. But there's something fundamentally wrong here, okay? Because that costs a lot of money. And I don't think it's doing the job that people wanted it to do. As Twitter is giving us this sign now, where someone has said, I finally saw that Cortana ad, and now I want to reverse galactic expansion to before the Big Bang. This person's written, hey Cortana, remind me, they've used the actual hashtag though, which is good. Hey Cortana, remind me to shove my head in boiling acid next time that horrific advert comes on. So there's the classic John Wanamaker quote about 50% of my marketing is working and 50% isn't, but I just don't know which one. That's because you're not checking the comments section, right? This is genuinely the situation we're in. So the point is the boardroom first comms model isn't an asset, it's a liability. And Pepsi, I'm sure we've talked about this plenty of times before, so I'm not going to bring it up again, are just the most recent people to find out about that. It is a liability. And I truly believe that it only creates, when you come with product, media decisions, and then try and make it creative, you create what I call non-tent. Nonsense content that's really expensive. Right? That's basically the upshot of it. Expensive and meaningless non-tent, by the way, with the miracle of programmatic media, allows this expensive and meaningless thing to move around the ecosystem, accruing hatred as it moves. Right? It's like a snowball of brand death. Okay? And we don't realize this. So we're basically playing with a sword of Damocles and we're cutting our own head off because it swings back. But Kantar will never tell you that. So the point is, this is where we are. We are genuinely, I believe, in the era of unbranding. I think that the memory structures and the brands that we built carefully, meticulously, and very cleverly over decades, and I'm one of those people that loves to read a book about John Hegarty and David Ogilvy and all that stuff, I genuinely believe we were doing good work then, as we talk about. I honestly believe that we are doing a lot of bad work at the moment. So I wanted to, this is the bottom of the trough of this bit, right? 74% of brands have asked meaningful brands. People will ask, how many brands of the top 500 could disappear and you wouldn't know, you wouldn't care? Because think about it, no one ever says what's your name? Lauren. So have your friends ever said Lauren, are you okay? And you say, yeah, I'm just a bit sad about Kodak. No one gives a shit. It's gone. And that's it. It doesn't matter because they've got Instagram. So the point is, When one brand loses market share, an incumbent, someone else, some Dollar Shave Club or some smarter, different comms model brand will come in and take it. So this is now the most dangerous place in the world for a brand to be, genuinely. And my favorite job in the world is to go into these places and try and just drop the bomb, basically. But I think it really needs to be dropped. And I think that, honestly, we need a new weapon. So what do? This is the end, I promise. We have to just evolve. And this is where I think there's a lot of good side. I think, genuinely, this is why we became marketeers. We're all in this room because we, from a very early age, I believe, I hope, have this thing, emotional intelligence. And we have it in spades. But we've been taught by the industrial era, boardroom style, this is what's valid, to hide our emotional intelligence away in exchange for questions about reach and frequency and efficient rate, right? Basically. So why did I ask you to talk about passion at the beginning? Because that's the fucking cure-all. That's how we cut through. People are spending 10 hours a week looking for content or watching content about their passions. That is a wormhole to greatness. It's the biggest business opportunity in the world right now. It is literally unquenchable thirst. Like, I would pay £500 right now for Game of Thrones episode 1 of the next season to just be available, right? Just give it to me, I don't care, right? So the point is, we're sitting on one end of it. There are brands wondering how to get someone to spend 5 seconds watching a little Vine or whatever it is now. On the other side, Netflix and Vice and people like this are saying, well, why don't we set up an OTT platform and charge people because they love our content so much? Can we teach each other anything? I hope so. And so this would be what I would say. The insatiable appetite for content is our best opportunity to win back that trust and attention. How do we do it? Start with real empathy. This is the emotional intelligence stuff. Know your tribe, know your audience, genuinely empathize with them. Data doesn't get you anywhere. Empathy gets you everywhere. So start by asking, what does the audience actually care about? Then move into the content white space. What can we do for that audience, now that we've empathized with them, what can we do for them that genuinely has value? As that says. And then how do we root the whole contribution in just us? No one else could ever do this. And this is a piece of brand archaeology. This is going back. I'm sure Mattel are going to be up in a minute talking about Barbie, and I'm certain, I haven't had this conversation, but I'm certain that you had to go back before you could go forward. What is the essence of the DNA of that brand that lets it refresh, lets it be more interesting in 2017? This is David Ogilvy, what is true and yet fascinating about the brand? Refresh it, update it, do blah, blah, blah. That's basically the model. And then root everything you do, everything you contribute into culture, and it is a contribution into culture if you really want to win. If you want to be Patagonia, these are the big brands that are really doing this. That's the model. So, because I only have 4 minutes, what do you do after that? You really focus on that brand DNA, because I think we've talked a lot about brand today. Empathizing and understanding what people need that they don't have, genuinely building it for them and rooting that in the brand purpose or the product benefit or whatever that is, isn't new. It's actually the classic strategy of all time, really. But we've got to remember it. Otherwise, we're getting dragged everywhere. And so this is the content mindset. And look, just to finish off, classic Byron Sharp. We all love him because he's just he's right? He did his research. He basically went and studied a very, very long time and demystified a lot of things that we thought. And one of the things he basically comes down to is he says, look, the essence of brand building is creating distinct memory structures and then using reach and frequency and efficient rate to keep those distinct memory structures top of mind. But what it doesn't mean is, Lauren's looking at me like, oh no. When I asked Lauren earlier on that question, it's probably not the biggest moment of your day. It wasn't like a big special moment. But imagine later on I see Lauren again and I say, hey, Lauren, do you remember when I was on stage and I asked you that question? And then you go, yeah, I'm going to get a drink, okay? I'm used to this, by the way. And then I followed you again. You'd be like, right, I don't like this guy. He's weird, right? And then you went outside tonight and a bus went past and it was my face, right? And it said, Lauren, remember the time when I asked you that question? And it was kind of a bit weird and all about me, and it was just a bit slimy and just generally weird. And then Lauren was like, that is just odd. Got home, went on the website, all the programmatic bidding happened, and it was fucking me again. Hi, Lauren. Remember that time when I asked you that question at the WFA, right? Oh my God, you'd be going insane. And imagine the most incredible media format never invented, like a Minority Report hologram that followed Lauren around, right? Let me ask you something. If the original thing in red was not distinct, was not memorable, and had no meaning, therefore was not structured, would repeating it more in different ways mean or add or contribute, or would it actually do the opposite? And that's where we are right now. Because we don't take enough time, it's like Jurassic Park, we're like kids playing football, right? Like, the football goes, if you ever watch little kids playing football, the football goes over there, it's so cute, and every child, even the goalkeepers, I'm talking about soccer here, by the way, you guys, whatever, real football, yeah? And then they all go over here, and then the ball goes over here, and every single 22 little kids all go over here. And you know what? No disrespect, but that's what we do every time a new media format comes out. The carousel. Oh, the Facebook carousel. Right? And let me just also say this. Facebook and Google, they're never giving you advice. They're always selling you. Always. Always, 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 always. That data they're giving you, just so you can buy more ads. That time they're spending with you, just so you can buy more ads. They own 78% of the market now. So my point is, no disrespect to anyone that does this, but 360 video, AV, oh fucking hell, VR. Like, it's exhausting. Is this what we do for a living? Just like take punts or like magpies, just like, oh, new thing over there, right? Hopefully not. So I'm just going to finish with this story. I keep saying I'm going to finish, but I'm evidently not. How do you create distinct, memorable, structured stuff, thoughts, ideas? Not so long ago, we had to face up to this question of Vice, right? We genuinely realized that we'd entered into a massive era of content commodification. You had, like, honestly, I live in East London. Don't have a heart attack in East London because you will die. Because if someone was about to die, they'd be like, is anyone a doctor? And everyone would be like, sorry, I'm a content creator. Everyone. Or occasionally, someone will be like, oh, I'm a DJ. I'm going to be a DJ, right? Like, this is the situation that we're in, right? So this is a massive, massive clutter of content that we're trying to cut through here, right? And then, I remember, the mini disc. I don't know if anyone else can remember this, but my point is, if you focus on if you did the musical equivalent of what we do in advertising, you'd be like, the hot new shit's the mini disc. We're investing heavily, right? Where'd that go? Seen any 360 videos in your newsfeed recently? Because there's only so many times you can see a fucking jet fighter take off in 360. No one gives a shit. So the point is, there's got to be something else, right? And so Spike Jonze, who's the creative director of Vice, came to us and said, you're losing your mind, you need a point of gravity, and you need to focus the business on that. And I wanted to leave you with this. We're going to deeply master this new technology, Spike said. And we're like, okay. And he said, this technology is the ultimate delivery mechanism for distinct and memorable ideas. And we were like, oh, wow. All right, yeah, amazing. He was like, it connects directly with the human operating system. So it literally is like almost evolutionarily built into our evolutionary beings. It's the force that animates all media formats. We were like, this is incredible. What is this technology, Spike? And it will drive all emerging formats. And then he started talking crazy, man, saying that it's been around forever. And we were like, well, I don't see how that's possible, Spike. And he was saying it's going to outlive every single one of us. And we were like, right, you've obviously smoked a little bit today. And then he started showing us photos like this. And that. And then we said, for fuck's sake, Spike, just tell us what it is. And you know the answer because we've already talked about it all day long. That's the ultimate technology ever. It's literally, I'm not going to show you, I might have to finish now, I'll genuinely finish. It is the ultimate technology of all time. And it gives meaning and distinct memory structures, so then you can run a banner ad, and I'll remember why. Like, when a bus goes past with the Nike thing on, it refreshes a memory structure that means something to me. So your media starts to do its job. But if your media is reminding me of something that meant nothing, you haven't invested at the top level to build a distinct memory structure yet. I'm going to finish, genuinely, by showing you this video This is just some work. I cut it specifically for you, so please enjoy it. And it's just, I wanted to show you that brands can be storytellers in exactly the same way as Netflix or Vice make content.
I hope you guys are ready for this.
How deep can you suffer? How far can you push yourself? What's your mental limit?
What is it that humans need to do to make sure that they're still needed as robots continue to take over?
It's a secret.
There's an island in the middle of a river in Liberia that's said to be home to over 60 chimpanzees, all infected with contagious diseases.
Can I go on to Monkey Island?
Spinning is quite hard because you have to have art to do it. You can't have fear in your art if you want to do spinning because anything can happen.
The international private military industry has been exploding over the last 20 years.
So there's been 2 or 3 attempts on your life? Two.
The reason it caught my interest is because I saw it from that angle at that point in that life.
What do great artists do when you see a world around you that's in turmoil?
This music represents like the freedom of like all human beings.
You have this kind of camaraderie and this feeling of a team. There's a spirit.
The first film is called The Fourth Dimension, and it's being shot by Harmony Korine.
If you do something for the first time, it always has a risk that you can fail. To do always the same, it's boring.
It does that. It's really good. They're really literally they're gonna snipe me off the stage in a minute. It's about putting the audience first, putting value into the world, bringing the tribe together. This is our job, right? Our families, we know this already. Our friends and families mean nothing. The most important people in our life is the tribe of people we need to market to every day, right? We obviously found that out the hard way. This is how it's worked for Vice. We had 3 billion video views last year, and a lot of them were brand work. Because if you make something amazing, we did a UBS video, UBS, the bank. And we're getting like 10 million views on it because it's good. And this is where it has ended up for us. So that 3 billion differential between Vice and BuzzFeed is the difference in making content and storytelling. And real storytelling is a commitment. It's about reading Joseph Campbell's 12 Stages of the Hero's Journey. It's about understanding the evolutionary reasons why stories are powerful and understanding that stories are like jokes in the sense that they have like structure. And I'll just finish with this, genuinely. This is, what is it? Some weird thing. It is a social network. This is Facebook in 2010. And literally, moments on the network that work, they're like a little hum. They're like a little resonance. And that's literally billions of people connected together, purring, or getting really angry, depending on what it is, about a story. And that is pretty much the summary of what we talked about today. So how do you empathize? How do you find the content white space? How do you romance the product truth? And then how do you use the craft of storytelling to tie it all together? I'm genuinely done. Thank you very much, guys.